Magic 99.5. Doug DeRoche along with Steph Duran here for Giving Tuesday. We are very happy to have special guests representing the American Heart Association of New Mexico. Sherry Wells, the executive director, is with us, and Jim Myers, the business development manager for CPR in the Southwest, or the CPR expert.
He's Mr. CPR.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. It's great to be here. Thank you. All right, so let's talk about what Giving Tuesday is to begin with, just in case people don't know. Talk about Giving Tuesday. Okay, so Giving Tuesday is held the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. It's really become nationally known as a National Day of Giving, touted as generosity movement. And there are actually about 240 Giving Tuesday communities that participate in this generosity movement across the United States.
Yeah, and obviously a very successful movement, because we know this is a big day for you guys.
You know, it really is, and especially because it really kicks off the end of the year commitment and giving philosophy and movement within our supporters and donors.
Why would you say it's especially important to give to the American Heart Association on this day in particular?
Well, thanks for asking. Yeah, well, now through November 30th, the American Heart Association will receive a dollar for dollar match up to $500,000. That's $500,000 for donations made directly at heart.org/donate. The match is made possible by anonymous donors who wish to see our work continue here in New Mexico and well beyond.
You know, that's so great with anonymous donors, because, I mean, what more better way to spell out that, you know, you're not looking to get any, it's not about a tax break. It's not about getting attention. You just want to give. And it's great to hear there's so many people in that category.
Yeah, and any amount is great. I mean, you don't have to give, you know, $250,000 to do the match. You can give $5, you know, and all of it goes toward the match.
And like you said, donations can be made all the way through the end of the month, through November 3rd. At heart.org/donate. And we're going to be in just a couple of minutes talking about the American Heart Association and Albuquerque itself. Magic 99.5. Giving Tuesday is coming, and we're very excited to be partnered with the American Heart Association. We're talking to the business development manager and Mr. CPR himself, Jim Myers, and we're also talking to Sherry Wells, who's the executive director of the American Heart Association of New Mexico. It's nice to talk to you guys again, as always.
Jim is the CPR guy and expert. I don't know, maybe you should have a title of life giver.
Oh, or heart saver.
Heart saver. Yeah, lifesaver. Lifesaver has already been used. Candy, you know, but heart saver works.
Heart saver. So, talking about Giving Tuesday and about the American Heart Association, can you tell us why people should give to the American Heart Association on Tuesday? Absolutely. Heart disease and stroke remain the number 1 and 5 causes of death among New Mexicans and actually across the nation. There's no single solution to removing barriers to healthcare access or quality to improve health for all. The American Heart Association supports multifaceted research-based solutions that address whole body health. Donations fund innovative research, a lot of it right here at the University of New Mexico, programs and resources targeting health equity, food insecurity, health forward policies, CPR instruction, in-school health education, and a strong focus on mental wellness as well to improve patient care.
And just a reminder, of course, donations can be made through November 30th at heart.org/donate. I was wondering, can you guys tell us what are the most specific needs here in our market?
Well, not just our market, but around the country, really cardiac arrests and out-of-hospital cardiac arrests are really prevalent in the United States. More than 370,000 out-of-hospital cardiac arrests happen every year. And so when a person has a cardiac arrest, survival depends immediately on receiving CPR by somebody nearby. And if CPR is performed immediately, it can double or even triple a cardiac arrest victim's chance of survival. And unfortunately, bystanders will only perform CPR really under 50% of the time, 46% of the time is an average between men and women. And plain and simple, more New Mexicans simply need to learn how to do CPR, period.
Yes.
Has a lot changed in the training for CPR over the last couple of decades?
A little bit has. We've gone to mostly a hands-only model. About 10, 15 years ago, Heart Association and the Red Cross got together and said, you know, what can we do to make this easier, less barriers for folks? And that's when we got into the hands-only kind of segment, which by studies has been just as effective as far as people coming out of the hospital alive than having, you know, breaths and CPR and the little more complicated version of CPR. So that's why we're really pushing hands-only CPR to the general public, to students, everywhere we can.
Yeah. Now, are there any segments of the population here in New Mexico that could benefit like the most?
Well, yeah, we really are concentrating on rural and underserved areas at the Heart Association right now. We've really seen, because of delays in EMS and that sort of thing, the rural population really needs to have hands-only CPR trained that way. About 7,000 Americans suffer from cardiac arrest annually, are really in the ages, especially too, of students ages 6 through 19. So the biggest need for CPR in New Mexico in many ways are things like CPR kits for schools. It's mandated for the schools to teach CPR as a graduation requirement, and yet there's no money necessarily behind those mandates. So we look for funding for those kind of activities, as well as many other things like vaping and tobacco cessation on campuses and that sort of thing too. So really, according to the latest U.S. Census figures, about half of all New Mexicans are Hispanic too. And so study shows that Black and Hispanic people really are less likely to receive CPR. So we have in Spanish, we have plenty of materials and DVDs and streaming capabilities online in Spanish too, for classrooms, for organizations, and that sort of thing.
Is it true that women also are less likely to receive CPR when they need it?
Yeah. Women are less likely. About 39% nationally receive CPR compared to 46% of men, mainly because of things like, you know, inappropriate touching issues or sexual assault or injuring the person. It's funny that women don't want to injure another woman, so they're even reluctant to give a woman CPR. But there are Good Samaritan laws in all 50 states that protect people who perform CPR during cardiac arrest. And so you can feel confident trying to perform even best you can. We had a save in Alabama recently of 11-year-olds that saved their dad because they saw it on Sandlot, just the whole compression only kind of thing. So it really is a disparity there we're trying to address as well.
All right, now we are going to take a quick break. We will be back talking to Jim Myers and Sherry Wells. Just a reminder that you can make donations up until November 30th at heart.org/donate.
Magic 99.5. Steph Duran, along with Doug DeRocher, we're here for Giving Tuesday, another great day for New Mexico. We're here with Sherry Wells, the president of the American Heart Association in New Mexico, and Jim Myers, our CPR expert, director of CPR throughout the Southwest, or should be throughout the country.
Yes, let's get him promoted.
Now, once
Come
again,
on.
Giving Tuesday, it's a great day, a big day for the American Heart Association, and your donations go to all kinds of incredible things. Like Jim was telling us earlier about getting CPR kits into schools in areas that most desperately need them.
So, Sherry, a question for you. Talk a little bit about what kind of impact the American Heart Association has had on the health of our state.
Absolutely. In fact, this is my favorite thing to talk about. So since 2001, the American Heart Association has been working on the health of New Mexicans. We've actually invested $11 million in research in the state of New Mexico. About 9.4 million funded projects are at the University of New Mexico. I heard an interesting stat yesterday that pacemakers came about because of the research that the American Heart Association did so many years ago. And now think about that, pacemakers are kind of a household name.
literally had a pacemaker installed in the past year.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to throw that over to Jim because Jim can talk a little bit about actually being a survivor and experiencing having a pacemaker.
Yeah. And Jim, you don't just talk about it, you wear the pacemaker. You had a little issue.
I do. I have an internal AED just in case something goes wrong with me. About a year ago now, I had some shortness of breath and some things going on, and I was actually in VTAC, which means my heart was going like 208 times per minute, really fast. So it went that fast. So if it goes too fast, you can't perfuse it with oxygen. So all the other organs that are vital, like your brain and things like that. So I was taken to Heart Hospital, called them on my own. I knew the signs and symptoms because of American Heart. And so I called an ambulance. They were here in 5 minutes and they took me to Heart Hospital. And yep, I got one installed, just courtesy of the Heart Hospital.
So many good reasons to give today. And most importantly, of course, because through November 30th, the American Heart Association will receive a dollar for dollar match of up to $500,000 for donations made directly at heart.org/donate.
Yeah, and don't forget the money that is raised, you guys put it to excellent use. You mentioned, Jim, you mentioned just briefly before that doing something like getting CPR kits in schools would be a great idea.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think we found that students and really schools are the hubs of many small communities, and even the 19 pueblos we have. It's a great place to teach CPR, and our goal is to have one person per household to know CPR. And what better than a student that can come home and really find dad or mom, and that's happened many times, on the floor, and they know what to do. And they call 911 and push hard and fast on the chest. And we've seen lots of saves around the country simply because we had CPR in schools taught really from middle school through high school.
Exactly.
So much good work done, but there's obviously a whole lot more to do. And that's why we need everyone's help. Once again, you can make donations through November 30th at heart.org/donate. Jim, Sherry, thank you so much for taking the time with us today, and best of luck with everything.
Raise that money.
Yeah, thanks so
That's
much
right.
for your help and Cumulus's help.
Thank you so much, Steph and Doug, and we always appreciate the support that Cumulus lends to the American Heart Association of New Mexico.
You got to do it. You got to take care of each other. We just have to do it. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Best of luck for Giving Tuesday. Let's raise that money.
There you go. Take care of your hearts.
Yep.
Talking to Sherry Wells and Jim Myers from American Heart Association, talking about Giving Tuesday. Sherry and Jim, both of you, I know I have really high blood pressure and tachycardia, so I'm in the club. But let's talk about preventive care.
Thank you, Steph. So the preventive care and work that we're doing throughout New Mexico is one of my favorite things to talk about. We are currently working in 2 northern New Mexico rural clinical health systems, recently adopted, where they adopted evidence-based initiatives that improve adherence and health outcomes for patients with high blood pressure. That's a fancy way of saying know your numbers, understanding hypertension and the dangers of hypertension. We are working on a really robust hypertension awareness campaign down in Lee County. They actually have the highest hypertension rate in the country. And so this campaign is all about education. We are partnering with a clinic down there and doing self-monitoring blood pressure cuffs, as well as continued outreach and information throughout that community. We've talked a little bit about some of the CPR initiatives that we are doing and hope to increase. And then we're working with the Albuquerque Public Schools and the Espanola Public Schools. We're helping them to adopt policies to help students become smoke-free. And then we also just recently hosted a month-long statewide stroke series, raising awareness. Again, that's that preventative information that we're so heavy on, and education on how to recognize and prevent a stroke. So there's still a lot to be done. We need the public's help. Donations can be made now through November 30th at heart.org/donate.
And it's an old saying, but it's true. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Yeah, and if I can tag on to what Sherry said, just briefly, you know, you can't do much about your family history. Steph, I don't know what your family history is, but you can't do much about that. But you can move and you can eat the right things. And those are so easy to do. You know, the donuts, put them aside and whatever, just get some fresh fruit and good proteins and eat the right stuff.
And fresh air, get outside
Fresh
and
air
move.
and
My
move.
doctor's telling me 15 minutes every day, just get it, just every day.
Yep.
Takes it easy.
Yeah, we've said sitting is the new smoking. So especially in a day of a lot of virtual meetings and that sort of thing, get up every hour.
Yep, get up and move.
Yeah.